Since ASEAN's establishment in 1967, the ASEAN member states have always put forward the spirit of solidarity. This includes building cooperation in disaster management and the provision of mutual assistance in the case of calamities. Cooperation in disaster management is important as Southeast Asia is one of the most disaster-prone regions in the world. In 2004, a 9.1 magnitude earthquake followed by a devastating tsunami hit the Indian Ocean and affected several areas in the region. This mega incident triggered the ASEAN member states to be more ready to respond to similar disasters in the future. On 26 July 2005, a new journey began when the ASEAN foreign ministers signed the declaration of the ASEAN Agreement on Disaster Management and Emergency Response, or ADMER, in Vientiane, Lao People Democratic Republic. ADMER is a proactive regional framework for cooperation, coordination, technical assistance, and resource mobilization in all aspects of disaster management. This agreement would become the legal basis for the ASEAN Coordinating Center for Humanitarian Assistance on Disaster Management, or the AHA Center's establishment on 17 November 2011 at the 19th ASEAN Summit in Indonesia. Within the ADMER framework, the AHA Center runs four main functions: coordination, disaster information management, knowledge and outreach, and resource management. In 2016, 5 years since the establishment of the AHA Center, the ASEAN member states signed the Declaration on One ASEAN One Response as a commitment to increase the speed, scale, and solidarity of ASEAN response. One ASEAN One Response serves as an open and inclusive platform that enables relevant stakeholders from the ASEAN member states and beyond to respond to disasters collectively through the use of ASEAN mechanisms to achieve the envisioned speed, scale, and solidarity. When a large-scale disaster strikes, the AHA Center acts as a coordinator for responses from the NDMOs, the military, and other humanitarian organizations. In the event of a disaster, the AHA Center receives a notification of disaster from the affected ASEAN member state. An update is then issued by the AHA Center to the member states and international community. An assisting entity may initiate an offer of assistance to the affected country, followed by the establishment of a joint agreement between the assisting entity and the affected country. Upon signing this agreement, resources can be mobilized to the affected areas with support from the AHA Center. Once the emergency phase is over and national capacities can fully manage the situation, the assisting entity will provide its exit plan to the AHA Center and submit a final end-of-mission update. During the emergency response phase, the AHA Center operates on three levels of coordination: the strategic level, operational level, and tactical level. At the strategic level in Jakarta, the AHA Center works closely together with the Secretary General of ASEAN as the ASEAN Humanitarian Assistance Coordinator, as well as the diplomatic and humanitarian community. At the operational level, if requested, the ASEAN IRAD response teams will be deployed in less than 24 hours to establish the base of operation, assisting governments and NDMOs to mobilize resources and coordinate international assistance. At the tactical level, the AHA Center and ASEAN IRAD assess the seriousness of the situation and identify gaps to provide effective assistance to communities in affected countries immediately. If necessary, the AHA Center will establish the Joint Operations and Coordination Center of ASEAN, or JOCA, with the government of the affected country, NDMO, and other relevant international agencies and organizations to strengthen coordination at the field level. In coordinating partnership during emergency responses, the AHA Center is guided by Standard Operating Procedure for Regional Standby Arrangements and Coordination of Joint Disaster Relief and Emergency Response Operations, or SASOM. On a daily basis, the Disaster Monitoring and Analysis or DMA unit of the AHA Center works closely with the National Disaster Management Organizations or NDMOs of all 10 ASEAN member states in monitoring hazards and disasters in the region. The DMA unit also shares information products related to hazards and disasters to NDMOs and other stakeholders through weekly updates, ASH updates, and situation updates, which helps strengthen the coordination efforts of assisting parties when responding to potential as well as actual disasters. The AHA Center has 4 activation levels. Regular hazard monitoring and risk analysis indicated by green. Significant disasters detected and heightened monitoring indicated by yellow. Standby and heightened preparedness indicated by orange. And active response indicated by red. When the level is raised to orange and red, the AHA Center Emergency Response Organization or ERO structure will be activated. During this emergency situation, the EOC team leader will organize an EOC briefing which is attended by all AHA Center staff and the ASEAN Secretariat to briefly provide information and updates of the latest situation on the ground. Beyond its core mandate to respond to disasters caused by natural hazards, the AHA Center also implements other tasks as guided by the Governing Board, such as preparedness and assessment missions and recovery programs. In 2018, the AHA Center was trusted by the ASEAN member states to go beyond emergency response by supporting the recovery program for the Central Sulawesi triple disasters. The ASEAN Village, with 100 permanent houses, 1 auxiliary health center, and 1 mosque, was built in the spirit of one ASEAN, one response. Other than responding to disasters, the AHA Center also plays an important role as a regional disaster management knowledge hub to build a disaster-resilient region through capacity building. The AHA Center Executive Program, ASEAN Emergency Response and Assessment Team, and ASEAN Standards and Certification for Experts in Disaster Management are some of the signature capacity building programs managed by the AHA Center, with participants coming from the ASEAN member states and AHA Center staff. As part of its knowledge management and outreach efforts, the AHA Center also shares best practices and lessons learned in disaster management through publications such as ASEAN Risk Monitor and Disaster Management Review (ARMOR) and the AHA Center Knowledge Management Series. The AHA Center also manages the ASEAN ERAT, a regional response team that can support the NDMOs during emergency response operations. Currently, there are over 350 ASEAN ERAT members in the roster who are ready for immediate deployment within 24 hours to the affected country. The ASEAN ERAT members have been trained with various sets of skills such as coordination, rapid needs and damage assessment, information management, logistics, civil-military coordination, and early recovery. The AHA Center greatly values the support it has received from its partners since its establishment until now in realizing the AHA Center's goal of becoming a global leader in disaster management. These partners and stakeholders' ongoing willingness to engage, support, and work with the AHA Center has been the key factor in its development over the past 10 years. Since its establishment, the AHA Center has proven its capacity and capability in implementing its mandate on disaster management under the umbrella of ADMER, responding to over 35 disasters in ASEAN and beyond. Moving forward, the AHA Center aims to enable ASEAN to become a global leader in disaster management by coordinating assistance through collective ASEAN response in line with the spirit of One ASEAN, One Response, whilst ensuring the organization remains sustainable and relevant to the needs of the ASEAN member states.